I call you up. You go around, every party.
Now, welcome back from the quick break. We're still here on Stand Up on Shobiz TV with me, Evergreen Asantua, and this is our pop-up feature interview segment. Alright, so today in the studios we have Paul God, the man who calls himself God. And I'm wondering why he thinks he's God. But I'm sure it is not the God that we think of, right? And he is an award-winning, let me add the award-winning, an award-winning international record producer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, oh, the cameras have already sold me out. Paul God, you are welcome.
Thank you.
Today we are talking about copyright in music.
Yeah.
And I hear you are the expert. So you are here to educate us, enlighten us.
Yes, yes.
And this is something that we find day in and day out in the Ghanaian music industry, as a matter of fact. Because today, if someone is not stealing someone's script, someone is stealing someone's song, someone is stealing someone's lyrics, and they are all over the place. So it's good that today you are here to educate us on that. And I hope that our musicians are watching us.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let's start with the basics.
Okay.
What is copyright in music?
So copyright in music is actually protecting the intellectual property of the original composer of a song, and making them use it the way they want to use it. And by protecting it by law, of course, so that other people don't get to use their intellectual property.
Their intellectual property.
Yes.
Wow. But yes, so let me even ask you, every musician knows what you said, right?
Not necessarily. It's
really?
It's not every musician.
But if you are doing music, then you should know it.
Actually, in Ghana, per se, from my point of view, I think musicians in Ghana have a big problem because with every business, when you get into it, you would need to research, do your necessary research to know the pros and cons of whatever business you are in. But with music, for some strange reason, not just in Ghana, it's worldwide. Because I've met some people outside Ghana that have the same problem. They don't know anything concerning even copyright or even publishing. All they know is that they release songs, they put it out there, and that's it. That's the end of it.
That's the end of it.
Yes, that's the end of it. Once they make their streams and make their sales online, they are good.
They are good.
Meanwhile, other people are using their songs, benefiting from it, making money off their intellectual property. They have no idea of it, and they are fine. Yeah. Later on, you hear issues like, okay, this person has taken my song. This person has actually used my song for something without my knowledge and claiming the rights to that particular song. Yes, so basically I think is a problem we have in Africa and the world at large.
Okay, but what are some typical examples of copyright in music that you can tell us about? If we use the Ghanaian music industry as an example.
Okay, so when a musician releases a song, it's a two-way thing. When you record a song and you want to release it and register it for copyright, they have, first of all, the musical work, and they have the recording. They are two different things. The musical work is any composition that has to do with the song, including the lyrics. And then the recording is the musical work. That's anything that has to do with the composition. And putting it into a medium. So something like something we call a phono record. That's what we call it technically. And it's put into a digital medium, something like a CD and all of that. Yeah. So these are the two records. That's when a musician wants to copyright. You have to copyright. So when you have this knowledge, then you know that, okay, then you have to protect the rights of both. So that you have both the musical work and you also have the copyright for the recording. So basically, that's it.
That's it.
Yes, before you release a song, so that someday, somewhere, someone wouldn't say, okay, so I've used your song. Fine, the person can use your song, but even if the person has not copyrighted the song, and you have not copyrighted the song, who is the right owner to the song? So there's that conflict right there, but just because you didn't do what you were supposed to do.
To do.
Yes.
Oh wow. And what are the types of musical copyrights that we have?
Okay, so they are like I explained.
The recording aspect.
Exactly, and the musical work. So if you are going to register your music, you need to copyright the musical work. Then you need to copyright the recording as well. Yes.
Okay, so since you are the expert, how do you know if a music has been copyrighted?
Okay, there are several ways of knowing whether a music has been copyrighted. First of all, when an artist copyrights music, they have a number actually assigned to that particular copyright.
Right.
So you notice that if you take somebody's video or somebody's song and you upload it with your content on YouTube, when you go to the YouTube studio, it can actually they can actually tell whether it's copyrighted or not. And then another thing is that when an artist copyrights his or her song, then the person that uses it is actually led to pay a levy.
Right.
That's how it works. You are supposed to pay a levy because you are using somebody's copyrighted work without the person's knowledge. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
To the extent that let's say I've taken somebody's song or somebody's video that is copyrighted. Anytime I upload it, the more views I get, I don't make money. The person makes money.
Right.
It's the same issue in music, something we call publishing. It's a similar thing.
That's a lot.
Yes.
And I just hope that every musician out there is trying to learn something out of this.
Yeah.
Because this is something we hear of often, and somewhere even 2 years ago with the issue with Mr. Drew. Was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago when they said he copyrighted a Nigerian musician and they had to take down the song? And even there was also a news where some years ago where Kel Songs was also saying that what's the name of this musician? Creamy. Creamy had also, and Mr. Drew, the same Mr. Drew, had taken a song that was supposed to be for him, and it was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So what do you also think that it can be done to educate Ghanaian musicians?
So first of all, as a musician, there are certain things that you have to do when you release a song. First of all, what most musicians know in Ghana, Africa at large, and even the world at large, is that when you release a song, you go to a distribution service, and then it distributes across all the digital streaming platforms, and that's it. No, there are issues concerning copyright. One, that's to register the musical work and the recording as well. And then apart from that, there are issues concerning something we call publishing. That's the system that actually collects royalties for the musician.
For the musicians.
You know, you have to get all these things straight before you even distribute a song. So that when you register the song you copyright the song or you register the song with your publisher, you are good to go. You will not have any issues, no backlogs on issues later on, like somebody taking my song. You see, these issues are there. But what is the real question? The real question is, who has copyrighted the song? Who has done his due diligence on publishing that particular record? Because then if you have legal papers to prove that what you have the legal ownership of that particular creative thing that you've done, then it solves the problem. It solves the problem. Yeah.
And now that you've also mentioned royalties, with regards to copyright, how does royalties come to play? Because I don't know if you were watching the show earlier. On our bulletin segment today, we're talking about something similar with regards to ground up.
Yeah.
So when you make your points, then we'll quickly chip that in.
So here's the thing with royalties. There's something called publishing. As explained earlier, publishing is the means of collecting the royalties of an artist to pay them for what they are worth. So if I release a song, and I distribute to the digital streaming platforms like, let's say, Spotify, YouTube Music, Facebook Music, and all of that, there's a streaming service, the money for that. But against that, if somebody uses my song without my permission, like let's say a radio station or whatnot, the publisher that I'm signed up with has something we call an IPI number. That IPI number is your number of identification of the particular song that you have released.
Right.
So anywhere that particular song is played, monies will be collected on your behalf by your publisher.
Right.
It's the reason, for example, in Ghana, we have, let's say, Ghana Music Publishing Rights Organization.
Right.
You know, other countries, we have even external bodies like the BMIs, the ASCAP, so they are responsible for that. But the problem here is most musicians don't understand the difference between publishing and distribution. Most musicians think when they distribute their song, they have a publishing service with a distributor.
Right.
You see the problem?
Right.
So they just do their due diligence in just distributing the song and it ends there. 90% of musicians, even in Ghana.
I see.
So like I said earlier on, the problem is the knowledge of what to do.
Right.
You know, to access the release that you must possess.
Right.
You know, basically that.
Okay. But what are musicians also doing in order to ensure that they are getting their royalties? Because with regards to the bulletin I mentioned, Twitch Forever was saying that he's having royalty issues with Ground Up Charlie.
Yeah.
And I mentioned earlier too that I don't know what is happening with Ground Up, but it looks like over the years, Ground Up is having a lot of issues with their artists. And people keep leaving the record label, and I don't know what is happening.
Okay.
So what are the strategies? What are musicians doing? Per your experience, since you are in the industry and that's your field.
Yeah.
Do you think they are doing something about it?
Yeah, I think first of all, it boils down to whatever contract the artist and the record label signed.
Right.
What agreement did they have? That is the main concern. So if I'm a musician and I'm under a record label or I do a collaboration with any other artist, we have something we call a split sheet. So that split sheet, on that split sheet, you have the publisher, you have the IPI number.
Right.
So I have my number of publishing. The artist who has his number of publishing. It's an agreement such that I know that this percentage goes to me. I state it in there, he states it in there. We submit to both our publishers, and it's a done deal. But if you don't do that due diligence, and then you as a musician, you record with a record label, possibly the publisher they all use is under the name of the record label. It means whatever royalties the artist is going to earn is the record label that has the right to own that particular royalty. You get it? But at the end of the day, musicians, I've even had instances where some musicians have like top-notch, I wouldn't mention names anyway, but they have called me to tell me, oh, they have issues with their publishing. I checked it out and I realized that either they signed up with a distributor and in quotes, fake publisher, or they didn't have the accurate knowledge and they've signed the wrong contracts. That is the problem. So artists need to do their due diligence. Today, Google is like a free university. You know, if you don't know anything, just Google it or find someone that knows about the industry, anything that has to do with contracts, publishing, copyright. Get the adequate knowledge and do your due diligence. Otherwise, you'll be found wanting. Like some of these artists we are mentioning. There was an instance where on radio, one of the stations, I was interviewed because I think a writer of a song claims that he has written songs for one of the top-notch artists in Ghana who has made sales over the years. And he was heard because he's received no quota. But the problem is the contract. You have no contract to prove it. True, you wrote the song. You recorded the song, possibly under a record label. Everything goes under the record label. So these artists should have done their due diligence from the beginning. Not when the problem goes haywire, then you come saying you have to pay me the royalties. What have you done? You know?
To be paid.
Yes, to be paid.
And I think a lot of musicians also need to get lawyers for themselves.
Of course.
Even if you can't afford it, try to find, like, there are connections, right?
Yeah.
Because there was also one musician, gospel musician, who was on the show, who also stated that she lost all her songs when she left her former record label, as a result of contract issued. And apparently she said she didn't really take a look at it, but for her, she admitted it. But she was also advising people to make sure they pay critical attention to some of these contracts that they sign, because if you are not educated about some of these things, it means you need to how do I put it, hire someone or seek for assistance, like you said. So with regards to contracting issues and artists getting lawyers too, what do you also have to say about that?
So what I have to say about that is musicians should learn, first of all, what are the things that I need to get when I'm releasing a record.
Right.
Before even the lawyer comes in, you need to know what you have to do.
What you have.
You know, if you get a contract, there's a scenario of a big artist now, very one of Ghana's biggest artists. When this lady got signed up with the record label that she's currently in, they had a meeting, they gave her the contract, and she knows I do some of these things, so she called me and told me that this is the contract, blah blah blah. I checked the contract and I told her, look, this thing is a trap. I just told her plain, just like that this thing is a trap. Be careful, don't sign this contract, because the record labels is a business entity. What do business entities do? They want to make money. So when they come in let's say a peacock's, feathery, outfit, they are coming to make their money. They are not coming in your favor.
I remember someone said they will want to exploit you. Until they are done exploiting you.
So it is a business. You see, we have to get it straight. It is a business. That's what businesses do. Otherwise, they don't make the revenue they are supposed to make. So when they come and they give you a contract, get somebody who understands contracts. The problem with artists is that these are legal contracts. They are legal terms. You can't read it in common English and sign it because you've seen a house or a car somewhere. It might be a trap. I've had an international contract before from a record label. Of course, I wouldn't mention names, but huge one. And they were even giving me a Maserati car. They were giving me thousands upon thousands of dollars just to sign the contract. I didn't sign it. And then I showed it to someone. The person was like, yo, this is your dream come true, and you didn't sign it. No. But it was a trap. Because at the end of the day, they are going to earn all the royalties of whatever work I've done. And at the end of the day, when your contract is done with them, they might even take the house. They will take the car. What are you left with? Nothing. So you need to show the contract to somebody who actually knows the detail of what the contract entails. So that you know that, okay, you've done your due diligence, whether you should sign or not sign the contract. The lady, back to what I was saying earlier on, the lady I was talking about, the artist, she showed me her contract. I said, don't sign it. She went and I told her that, ask them this question, this question. She asked them, and the people realized that she's found out. Then she now had to go back, and then the people to amend their whatever contract they have to suit whatever thing she has to do now. And now she's free. She's free now. You get what I'm saying? So as an artist, it's very important. When it comes to contracts, you don't joke about it, because that is your life actually. You are putting your life in somebody's hands. Your entire craft. So you hear issues like a very successful artist has been like 40, 50 years in the making of the person's music. We've been listening to the music. The person goes for shows. The person gets money, has a good house, everything. The person goes on retirement. There are no royalties. There's no money. Like what we hear recently. Like there are legends in Ghana that have not made money off their royalties and all of that. You get what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, it's sad. So as musicians, we really need to do our due diligence in getting the contracts right, getting our publishing straight, doing copywriting our music so we are not found wanting later.
So how do we avoid copywriting music then?
You can't actually avoid copyright. Once you are the original owner or composer of a particular project, you should copyright it, because that's the only way you are protected.
You are protected.
That's the only way you can actually protect your works. You can't avoid it. There's no avoidance of, let's say I'm an artist, I've written a song and I'm not going to copyright it. It's a major issue we have in Ghana here. There are some of the musicians that actually don't write songs. They record the songs, and they have people that write the songs. Most of the people that write the songs don't copyright it. It's after the song is blown everywhere, then they come saying, I wrote the song. True, we are not arguing, with you that you didn't write the song. Right. You wrote the song, but did you copyright the song in your name? Did you copyright it? No.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes,
so there are systems in place. You as the artist, you need to learn about the system, the music system. How does it work? If I'm supposed to copyright my music, how do I go about it? You do all of that, and then you know that you're sorted out.
Okay, so it means that you can copyright your lyrics, you can copyright the song title, you can copyright.
You can copy, yeah.
Everything that has to do with it.
Yes, you can. You have to copyright it.
Really, separately.
So with the lyrics of the song, you have to copyright it.
Right.
You get it. But issues that has to do with publishing also has to do with you, the musician, as a composer, you singing, and also the producer that produced the beat. So, it's also a composer, a co-composer of that particular project. It's not you singing the song that owns the song. The producer himself, the person that makes the instrumentals and all that, owns like a 50% equal share.
Wow.
With you. So you need to learn all the legal things that comes with these things, so that you are not found wanting.
Right. So, talking about copywriting lyrics, that other musicians also release songs that they pick a line or two from other musicians' song. Is that also a copyright issue?
So, also, it is a copyright issue. But, like I said earlier on, if you pick the lyrics of a song, or you pick a portion of someone's song, and it's a hit, you make a hit out of it. Right. First of all, you have to, if the song is copyrighted, you have to seek permission from the person before doing that.
Right.
So you see, most of the songs we hear is actually becomes a hit of old hits that have been.
Right.
You see, possibly because most of the artists have gone to ask permission. Or they've gone to seek permission from the original composer that, okay, let me give you this money. Of course, there's a levy you must pay to do that, to use other people's songs. So you can actually use other people's songs, but if the song is copyrighted, there's a levy that you have to pay the people before using the song. You get what I'm saying? So obviously, they have wanted to see the people, they've talked it out, okay, you can actually. But if you have not done that, that's when the issues come up.
Okay.
So they say, okay, I've copyrighted my music, but you are using it. You are doing ABC that you are not supposed to do.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So basically that's
So
it.
what is the difference between copyright and trademark?
So copyright and trademark is a different thing altogether. So copyright, you can copyright, let's say, the lyrics of a song. You can copyright, let's say, the script of a play and all of that. But with trademark, it's actually something that is assigned to identify your particular, let's say, company. Your particular company or your ideology is a signature assigned to that particular thing that you are doing, such that if for example, you go to, let's say, a Shell filling station. You know it's a Shell filling station because of their logo, because of certain things, their colors. And even with the colors, they have numbers assigned to it. So you know that this is the trademark of this particular entity. You wouldn't go to a Shell filling station and say it's a Total filling station. Because the trademark is set to identify that particular entity.
Okay, now that you've educated us on a lot of things, I want you to also help us understand the processes or the procedure you go through when you want to copyright a song.
Okay, so the process is very simple. It's not far-fetched.
Yes, though people don't do it.
It's not far-fetched. So you would have to copyright your song with a copyright organization,
Right.
whether outside or in Ghana here. In Ghana, we have the Ghana Copyright Office. You can go there. They do music, anything that has to do with copyright. You can go there and copyright. You first of all, you have like 2 copies of your work. You submit it. They give you. There's a fee for it. I think it's not even much. When it comes to music. I know for musical work it's like 30 CDs or so.
I see.
Yeah, it's like 30 for videos like 60.
Right.
60 CDs. it's not much.
Right.
And that's for like a long period of time. You know. So you can actually do that, and you know you're sorted out. They give you a form.
Right.
You fill your forms out, do your due diligence,
and
take a copy home. You must keep a copy. Some musicians, they either misplace the copy or something. When you have a copy, do a photocopy again, and then keep it so that later you can have reference to whatever copyright you've done.
Right.
Yeah.
And since we spoke about the legalities when it comes to music, and now that you've also educated us on how to copyright your songs, I want you to also help us know some of the legal rights that when you copyright your song, what are some of the rights that it cover?
Okay, like I said earlier on, with music, you have the musical work.
You have the music.
And you have the
recordings.
You see, these 2 things. Once you do your due diligence on that, you are covered.
You are covered.
You are covered.
Okay.
Because then you would have copyrighted the lyrics, everything with the song, and you would have even copyrighted the medium of digitalizing your music. That's when it comes to the CDs and all of that for public display. Yeah.
Okay. And what is the impact to that copyright has on payment when it comes to musical payments?
Okay, so it's once you've copyrighted your work, it means anybody that uses or wants to use the work has to come to you first for the person to pay a levy to whatever copyright organization, whatever fee the copyright organization has set for your particular work.
Right.
You know, so if I've copyrighted my music and let's say someone wants to use it or use the lyrics, I've copyrighted it. So first of all, you have to come see me. We go to the office because I'm signed up with a copyright organization. I find out the proceeds, whatever levy you are supposed to pay me. You pay me before using it. Then we are clear.
Right.
So it makes revenue. Revenue.
Okay, but do you foresee any changes or challenges in the Ghanaian musical industry when it comes to the copyright landscape?
Oh yes. In terms of musicians, yes.
Okay.
In terms of musicians, I think that's a major thing. We need more sensitization on copyright, intellectual property, publishing, so that artists actually know. They need to know. They need to learn. You know, what if I'm signed up with, let's say, Gamro, or I'm signed up with Musica, or what are the proceeds? Most often, we just get signed up with these bodies, and we don't know what it even entails. 90% of the musicians are top-notch musicians, the top ones. They don't even know what the mandate of some of these bodies. They don't know what they do. They don't even know the mandate of what these bodies entail. You know. So at the end of the day, you are going to register. You can't go and register, let's say, your music and want to collect royalties from another entity that does not pay royalties. So basically, that's it. Basically, that's it. Yeah. Okay. I think we need to do our due diligence and know we need to know the know-how of what the entity does, what is their mandate.
Okay.
Research into it and actually apply there. Yes. And then you are good.
Wow, this has been very, very educative. I wish I had someone very, very close who is also into music, so that I'll go and educate them properly, so the person will not find him or herself wanting. But I'm hoping that someone out there is watching and has taken something out of this whole education, because that's how I want to put it. It's been very, very educative.
Thank you.
And I want you to leave us with your final words.
Okay, so my final words would be, so as musicians or anybody in the creative space, not just music, once you are in the creative space, you need to do your due diligence when it comes to copyrighting your work, when it comes to publishing your work.
Right.
Know your worth by knowing your intellectual property. And you are sorted out. Do your due diligence so that at the end of the day, you wouldn't be found wanting. Like some of these things that we hear nowadays, so somebody has used my song, I'm not getting the royalties that I deserve because you didn't do your due diligence in getting signed up with a publisher and all of that. Yeah.
Okay, your social media handles, how can we find you?
Okay, so on Facebook, I'm Paul God, paulg.o.d. And Instagram, TikTok, and then X, that's formerly Twitter, is the real Paul God. The real Paul God.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
You know, he kept emphasizing on the word due diligence. So make sure that you are doing your due diligence when it comes to your musical career, because it is very, very important. And today we've been educated on copyright. So I'm hoping that we won't be hearing any copyright issues anymore, at least for a short period of time. And we are hoping that you've been educated. That's the most important part. So make sure you are doing your due diligence when it comes to your musical career. Play your part, and the other things will also, follow. Thank you so much for sticking and staying with me throughout the entire show. This has been Stand Up on Shobiz TV with me, Evergreen Asanto. We're live on our Facebook and on our YouTube at Shobiz TV. If you're an Android user, you can always take us along wherever you go by simply downloading the Shobiz TV app on your Google Play Store. And a special thank you to Goldilocks for this beautiful outfit. I love the colors and it complements my skin so well. So I'm admiring myself, yes. You can find Goldilocks on all social media platforms at Goldie_looksgh on all social media platforms, and Glam by Aseye also did this beautiful makeup for me and I love it as well. And you can find Glam by Aseye on all social media platforms. To my executive producers, thank you so much for holding me down. To my producer for the day, I appreciate you. And to everybody behind the camera, the scenes, yes, I appreciate you all. And once again, to you, my cherished viewer, thank you for sticking and staying with me. Do enjoy the rest of our programs. I'll see you same time tomorrow.
Morning,